Hi, this is Mike from Boca Film Studios, and if you are just joining this entire catalog of videos that we're doing on how to edit a wedding video, I would highly recommend that you start at the very beginning. Where we left off last time is that we were about the 3-minute mark, 3:30-minute mark, where we essentially took a look at both the groom letter and the bride letter and kind of tried to overlay some things on top of it. Since then, I've actually done quite a few bits of work here that I kind of want to walk through. I almost wish that I was rolling the camera as I went through all of this. It just didn't work out that way. So I'll kind of just explain and justify a lot of the things that I ended up doing just to get us to the point where we can start color grading and really working a little bit more on the sound design and everything else. So as we left off in the last video, I had said that I needed to really just kind of clean up a lot of things. What I mean by that is spacing out the audio a little bit so that there's a nice cadence and flow to what it is that I'm trying to emulate as a story. The other thing is that I'm really, I don't know if this is just my musical background or what, but I'm also very, the way that I edit is really just to the beat. And so I really want things to be syncopated almost as the transitions from, you know, one clip to another kind of go through. So I think the best way to do this is to just jump right into the edit and you can kind of see where we are. So here we are inside the edit. Again, last time we had a little bit of the ceremony mixed in with the first look, but we were waiting to do some of the things with the father of the bride's first look, and I feel like I found a great spot for it inside the song. And I also did a couple other things with the song, and maybe this is a good time to show you what it is that I did. One of the great things about MusicBed, again, not a sponsored video or anything, but one of the great things about the MusicBed membership, and while it's very expensive, I think it's like $750, one of the huge benefits is that prior to the membership, you were spending $50 per song. And if you wanted the instrumental track to go along with it, it was another 25 bucks. And then of course, if you wanted a second song, so you're spending $200 to $300 to even $400 per video just on music. With the membership, you know, I find a song that I really like, and then I also download the instrumental versions. I don't like having music where, you know, there's a lot of audio in the video itself. I just said the music part. So I don't like when the music has a lyrical line at the same time as I'm having a lot of speaking. Sometimes it's just, I mean, it's the way it is what it is. But I actually really like being able to focus on the reading portion, the toast portion, the ceremony portion without the distraction from the lyrics of the song. So with MusicBed, having both, you can kind of weave in and out from the instrumental version to the version with lyrics. And I feel like I've done that pretty well. So here is an example of that.
I will be behind you for the good moments and in front of you for the bad moments. You are my solace when the crazy world defeats me, my safety when I feel fearful, my happiness when I triumph, and my comfort when uneasiness overwhelms me. A few weeks ago.
So it's kind of like this really cool moment where there's a break in the build and it kind of pulls back, but there's this really nice soft lyrical portion just as she's opening the door slowly. Her father's helping her out, open the door slowly, transitioning into that first look. So it just, to me, it just worked perfectly the way that was kind of laid out. So, and then I fade it right back out. You know, just that portion of the lyrics were there, back to the instrumental, because there's some audio from the ceremony that's really good. So I guess let's just have a listen and get to the point where we left off last time.
A few weeks ago, I asked Zach what he loved so much about Siobhan.
You'll notice I still have 2 other versions of the audio in here. I was playing around with which one I liked the best, and right now this one is still there. It's just nice to have options.
He said she makes me laugh, and being able to have fun and play around enriches our relationship. I've learned that she means everything to me.
Back to the
She
first
makes me
look.
smile. She comforts me. And she even makes Jersey Shore episodes sound not so quite
Love
awful
that.
to watch.
And then a separate shot of she's hugging. Kind of goes back and forth. One thing, I don't love doing this, but I had someone edit for me this year who would add a lot of audio clips, you know, like studio produced audio clips that aren't natural. And, you know, it bothered me at first, but I was like, you know, sometimes it does enhance the video. So you'll notice in here there's a little bit of a track. It's actually kind of an obnoxious laugh, but it's hidden real nice. He mentions the thing about Jersey Shore, and you can't really hear a lot of the audience laughter. I don't know if it was just unexpected or what, but it wasn't like a big roar that was there. So just a little bit subtle, you know, just listen to it again.
She even makes Jersey Shore episodes sound not so quite awful to watch.
You know, you don't want it to be overly distracting.
Dearest Siobhan, I remember the feeling I had when we first met 3 years ago at Panera Bread. We felt the power of this love between us.
Now, the other thing I want to point out is if you take a look at this, you'll notice that, oh, maybe you can't notice, but this is totally not the first line. There's only so much time you have in a highlight film, and you got to pick and choose the best parts, and sometimes that's even reordering the way things went. This ended up being, if you listen to her voice carefully, it's a little bit emotional, and I think that starts it off real nice. And then I also want you to just pay attention to the syncopation of these clips up here. So
We felt the power of this love between us. This is something that has sustained us, healed us,
ready?
and grown us even deeper, richer, and stronger. It felt like
because the music is driving a little bit more. There's crash on the cymbals. There's a little bit of like some kind of, you know, other instrument that's in the background there. Could just be the snare, but either way, I mean, it's all crashing on that downbeat, and you want that. I mean, I just feel like it starts to motivate the song a little bit.
time stood still. In fact, that there was no time. We knew each other and the love between us before we opened our mouth.
By the way, it is not, I don't know how to say, it's not by chance that she mentions the word time, and
That there was no time.
no time. There's the
We knew
watch.
each other and the love between us before we opened our mouths to speak.
Actually, I want to point this out too. This is a little bit before that. Where was that? Oh, this is a little bit intentional. You know, if you listen to the part where she talks about having each other's backs, or he reads it. So listen to this.
I will be behind you for the good moments
This is the bride saying that. I'll be behind you for the good moments.
and in front of you for the bad moments.
And look, it kind of, the focus pull is from her to him when he says that. So that was absolutely not planned. I mean, I'd love to be able to say, oh yeah, I had this vision for it from the beginning. But, you know, sometimes you just got to pay attention to those little details in the edit. And sometimes you get lucky, you know. So, all right, so here we are. Oh, and I like this because he says, you know, I love you too, but I didn't want it to be like overly accentuated, so it's kind of like in the background there. And this is his father-in-law that helped him with the
Knew each
jacket.
other and the love between us before we opened our mouths to speak.
And now just kind of trying to introduce the ceremony location. Not that we're going to fully go there yet, but I just kind of want to introduce it. There's people coming. Come a little bit back to
Since
the
that
bride
moment,
letter.
I've never gotten tired of looking into your brown eyes because
And looking into your brown eyes, they're looking at each other, you know.
the depth and quality I see is priceless, endless, timeless, and deeply inspiring.
And notice I'm putting breaks in here because, I mean, it's just good cadence.
You are
But
so,
right
so
on the beat.
graceful, joyful, and gorgeous that it ignites my heart and fires up my well-being. I deeply appreciate the blessing of having you in my life and having this golden
Cute
opportunity
shot.
to walk beside you hand in hand today and every single day hereafter.
Again, they're together holding hands, and now we're going to get into a little bit more of the ceremony. Again, all syncopated. You'll notice this little bit of a flare here. I think I mentioned this before, but there was like an LED light pointing directly down the center, and for the life of me, I don't understand why that's a thing, but it's like on or off. There wasn't even like a variation in it, and so I'm a little bit nervous about grading that, but it is what it is. That's what the bride and groom selected, And so we just have to go with it. I actually really love this shot. Really love this shot. I think what I'll end up doing is adding a little bit more accentuation right here and try to do a little bit more bokeh, depth of field. You know, I think it's pretty good, obviously, in camera here, but I'd love to get a little bit more so it's just peering right there.
Love is patient and kind.
And I love this. The love is patient. I mean, it's so just wedding-y. I mean, it's very standard, but his delivery of it is good. It was a little bit fast. So you notice again that I chopped it up to create a little bit more space. And it just has to do with them and the wedding party, which I really haven't done a ton with. One of the problems in this situation is that we really were kind of confined to this little space. What kind of stinks is looking at this shot right here. Behind them is this huge deck, but it was covered in snow and they wouldn't clear it. So we were kind of stuck on this little side part, but it looks good. I mean, there's a lot of character with the brick and with some of the architecture and the lake that's back here, the wood, the windows. So it ended up being fine. You always want more, especially so.
And kind. Love is not jealous or boastful. Love is not arrogant or rude. Love does not insist on its own way. Love does
A little
not
bit of
rejoice
laughter, did you hear that? You know, again, we want it to be fun.
on its own way.
See?
Love does not
Subtle.
rejoice in the wrong, but it rejoices in the right. Love
And again, maybe I've talked about this before, but you know, I kept going back and forth between the groom and the bride just to give the photographer a chance. So, you know, there's never idle time. It was also very cold, so we wanted to make good use of our time. Just to go from, you know, the bride and then allow the photographer to shoot the bride and then go over to the groom, kind of modeled this. His long, you know, push down is not my favorite, but it's
in the
fine.
right. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never ends. Siobhan,
So here's where I got the father involved. There was he had a little bit more of this story, and I didn't think it fit super well, so I didn't include it. But I haven't done his toast. I haven't done the father of the bride first look, and I remember him mentioning this thing about, you know, she had written something on this handkerchief, and so I went back and listened to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this part. And as I was editing it, man, I'm telling you, it was, when you personally get emotional and tear up, you're like, that's it, you've got it, don't mess with it, don't touch it. But the way the music entered and then the way that this happened, I was like, this is fantastic. And I showed it to my wife, she loved it, but then there was something else that I'll show you that I had to change. But so here's what happens.
love never ends.
Siobhan came to my room this morning. She gave me a beautiful card, all nice sayings and that. And she gave me this handkerchief.
Again, a pull focus from the bride coming down to the father.
I'm going to just read what's on it.
And so now I'm going between the audio of the first look, where the dad kind of breaks it down. What was hard is you hear a little bit of an echo here, and that's just simply because the father kind of takes the mic away, and you hear the audio coming from the speaker. It is what it is, you know. So, but okay, I'll shut up here.
Sayings and that. And she gave me this handkerchief. I'm going to just read what's on it.
And he didn't say, you look so beautiful right away. He said it a little bit later, but I really wanted to get to the rest of the message of what he was saying in the toast before they walked down the aisle in the video, so.
Dad, of all the walks we have taken together, this one
I mean, you can just feel it. I mean, I feel it. I've seen this a bunch of times, but you can feel it just, there's this, he can't say it, and he's sniffling, and he's breaking down, and the music cuts out and then starts swelling. It's like beautiful.
taken together, this one
And then it launches into them coming down, slow motion.
This one is by far my favorite.
So that's actually the part where my wife was like, I feel like you got to you finish his sentence. And I didn't have it before. I didn't initially have that. It just kind of, he said,
One.
you know, it goes into the emotional part. And I left it there. And she's like, well, does he finish the sentence? And I said, sort of. So the part where he says this one, I just repeated and then kind of cut out the really emotional part and put in this part.
Is by far my favorite.
And that's good. You can still hear his voice cracking. The reason I excluded it is because you were at the climax of the song. Now I want it to be driven and powerful and go along with it that way. I didn't want the audio to come back in, but she was right. Like you want it to kind of wrap up with what's the rest that he said. Now he also said this other part that was really good, but I'm debating whether or not to include it. So I'll play it back a little bit.
This one is by far my favorite. Thank you for walking by my side today and always.
So you can see why I might want to keep that, because there they are walking. You know, thank you for walking by my side today and always, but I feel like maybe it just gets in the way. Maybe I can push it down a little bit because there's no audio here. And there's no lyrics in the middle of the song. That's the other part. I don't like gaps, so I might have to go back and play with that. So in this part, I do kind of go back and forth between them dancing and the ceremony. I mean, it's all in the same location, so I feel good about it. But we kind of did the introduction to the ceremony location. I don't spend a ton of time in the ceremony, really ever, even if the ceremony location is amazing, I just don't spend a ton of time in the highlights film there. So I'll let it play a little bit.
Therefore.
Yeah, so this part I don't love. There's a jump cut there. I did have something else there. Maybe I'll move it.
Therefore, with the pop.
Maybe I'll do that. So there was actually a mistake that took place. The mistake is that as they were doing the, it's kind of like the sand, mixing the sands. They did it with pills, which sounds interesting, but they're, both in medicine. He's a pharmacist, and I believe she's a nurse. I did the classic tale of hitting the record button, and that actually turned it off from recording. That's like your nightmare. Luckily, there were 2 other angles, but as far as like the kiss and everything else goes, because I thought that I was recording and I didn't double check. I mean, this is like rookie stuff, and it still happens. It hasn't happened to me. I don't think there was another wedding that this happened to me this year, but that just sucks. But you know what? It still works out okay, and it is what it is.
Therefore, with the power vested in me by the Lord Jesus Christ in the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
I'm gonna let that play out and this come out a little bit more.
Therefore, with the power vested in me by the Lord Jesus Christ in the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband.
So it goes a little bit against what I had said about the audio being kind of, competing with each other, but I'm okay that this is drowned out a little bit. I want it to be hyped. I want it to be energetic. And, since they're not like, dancing around at this point, it just, you got to make sure that you keeping the energy up. So.
And wife, you may kiss the bride. Friends and family.
So there's a couple things I did here. No, I don't. Sorry. So there's a couple things that I tried to do in here. Is you get the kiss in there, and then you'll notice I kind of fast-tracked the exit as well. Kind of overlaid it with the clapping. I don't love doing a lot of that extra fake sound stuff. I tried it, and it just wasn't great. You'll notice there's some over here, but it's still not my favorite. I'll use it if I need to. We took them outside for this. I think there's a lot of color grading potential that needs to be done there, but It just goes from you may kiss to congratulations.
Friends and family here today, it is my pleasure to introduce to you for the first time Mr. and Mrs. Zachary David Peacox.
And part of the other reason is that if you watch what happens immediately after, she kind of plays with her dress, she walks over to the flowers, and then she goes. So I kind of fast-tracked that a little bit. And then it kind of cuts out. I have this great shot with them. I wish there was smoke surrounding them because that'd be sweet, but it's pretty sweet. And then it just kind of slowly comes down. Now I want to show you something real quick because I was talking about this before, but you've got the instrumental version and the lyrical version in one track. So what I did is that I laid them out together. So I would have 2 tracks that I would put out there, and you do a right click and you go to new compound clip. That's how you kind of put them together. It's actually pretty simple. If you've never done it before, you know, I feel bad that I went ahead and didn't allow you to see this, but this would be the actual music track. Let's see, do I have? Yeah, and here's the other one. So the way that you do this, and I know it's weird because it's on the video side, but there are often times where the 2 tracks are not the same length. This one works fine, but you go nice and close and you look for a solid peak or 2. You know, make sure that they're landing on the right beat. And you listen, all right, and then we find some of this stuff here. See how it goes in between? So it kind of goes in between the 2. So once you have them there, you can go back and forth between the instrumental version and the non-instrumental version, highlight both, right tap, new compound clip, name it whatever you want, and then it ends up being, I don't want to mess this up, ends up being this audio clip that's got both, that's embedded. And then you can go into it by double clicking, and you can see there's a portion where I just wanted to go straight up the lyrical version, which is typical, just to go to that towards the end where the letters are done, the vowels are done, that sort of thing. So anyways, that's how I did that. How are we doing for time? Okay, really looking forward to the day where they come out with the A7S III, and hopefully it doesn't have this 30-minute max there. Okay, so now we've kind of concluded Act 1, and I want to find a way to do Act 2. A lot of times what I'll do is I mean, this is the party part. This is the celebration. We're going to dance. We're going to have fun. And what I like to do is to, you know, usually the DJ is pretty involved and is like, yeah, for the first time ever, these people, and everyone goes nuts. This guy didn't exactly do that, but luckily I was still kind of recording because a lot of times the intro leads into the dances, and then that leads immediately into the toast. So I set up my my external recording devices with the DJ before any of it, and it just runs. And you know, those Tascams are amazing to record both, you know, the lab style and then the stuff that you can plug right into the board. So I have the DR10L and the DR10X. The X is the thing that I plug into the board. You always want to come out of the wireless router. You don't really want to come out of a speaker unless you have a limiter on it. Even the onboard limiter is not great for the speaker because they're powered speakers. You're going to get clipped audio. This guy's stuff was pretty good though. So transitions.
Mr. and Mrs. Zachary
You know, and definitely added some noise to that. So the way that I do this, and I know that I kind of already did it, I obviously have got to do more to get it to the end here. The way that I do this is I actually look through the footage. I make sure to find slow dance versions of the bride and groom, the father-daughter, and the mother-son, if those dances are happening. Have to include those. Sometimes you can get through most of the day and you barely have you know, the mother of the groom or the father of the groom or the mother of the bride involved at all. And, you know, I think that can be a sticking point for people. So just something to keep in mind. Have the music up a little bit louder because, again, I want the energy to be there. So the reason I did this is because I realized I didn't show a ton of details of the ceremony. And so just showing quick clips of it buys me a little bit of time, but it also gets me to the point where, you know, I can get to the faster part of the song. You know, notice slow dance, slow dance, slow dance, slow dance, a little bit of a shot that they did. I don't know if that's something customarily from their background or what, but I don't know. So watch what happens. Little slow move, and then watch, here comes the dance part. That's cute. A little bit of bokeh here, name of our company, you know. So again, everything right on the beat. So the significance of this is this was the couple that had been married the longest. They gave him a gift. And so because it was special to them, then we put it in. This was, I think, the runner-up, so I put that in there too. So if the bride and groom make specific attention to stuff like that, I think it's worth noting. So. It's just, I mean, kind of a goofy little dance that they did. I think this is like the Whip and Nay Nay song. People dancing is fascinating to me. I mean, you would never do this normally in a group of people. But I love it, you know, they're having fun. So anyways. And remember what I said about the father of the groom. I mean, I'm trying to add more things to him just because, you know, obviously they're had a big role in this situation, yet we don't always focus on it, so. So you notice it's not synced up. I wanted to have more footage of things just so that I can use it. So, and again, I did a lot of this just not on camera. You know, for me, sometimes when I just get in a role, I just want to go. I don't want to set up this whole gear. And, you know, I apologize if there were some things that you're like, why, I wish you had showed me that. Maybe if people actually like this series, then maybe I'll do more of them. But yeah, you know, sometimes you got to walk away. And when you're on, though, you're like, you got to dive into it and get stuff done. So, all right, so we're at the point where I can't really, you know, I have to do some work. So here we go. That's weird. Yeah, I kind of want to. Okay, so let's see. I'd rather not chintz out on the bride, so. So I kind of liked, I don't know if I like the back-to-back nature of this, but let's see. She wasn't doing the same hand motion. You know what? I can do without that clip. I'm gonna change that. Ooh, I kind of want some fast stuff here. So, oh, that's the same thing. All right, and then that would end it. So I actually want to do something else. They don't even have to be good dancing clips. Let's get some other random people. And I'll show you what I'm thinking. It's shaky and cool. Decent shot of Dad. I very rarely do the garter thing. It's kind of cool with all the smoke, but yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how cool that really is. I do kind of like this. This isn't bad. Did they do like a yay? I kind of like that, even though it didn't really include everyone. All right, so I will show you what I'm thinking. Again, all about energy, momentum. So it'd be all right. So it'd be one, two, three, four, bam. Okay, so what I want to do is might be too long. Don't know how long it needs to be. So that is 10 seconds. Let's see if we can make just all of these change duration to 10. I don't know about this one. So I actually guessed on the right number of clips there too. And then I would cut to another shot. In fact, I might use this drone shot. I'm waiting for this drone shot. It's probably under drones. Wish I had done that slower. Now, truth be told, I did record in 30 frames per second, so I should be able to do this at, I don't know, probably 90. Can I do it at 80? Still looks smooth. I mean, I can't really do it like this. Yeah, see how it gets jumpy? Is it 80? I forget my math here. Just to slow it down a tad, but it's kind of cool, like you're pulling away from the whole scenario. I actually, you know, I flew the drone just a little bit for this, and honestly, it just because it was snowy, lacking a ton of color, there's just not a ton that I really got from it. What's crazy is that we have a friend that shot a wedding at this location actually weeks later, maybe a month later, and no snow at all. So it's upstate New York for you. So I might shorten this. Just kind of fade it out. Okay. Well, I think in a nutshell, barring anything, just looking back through it all, I think we're pretty close, ready to go. You know, the next step would be just making sure that all the audio is set. You can get rid of some of these extra bits and pieces. Probably get rid of this pretty easily now that it's set there. But, you know, maybe let's just watch it through. See if there's anything else that we need to finish up before we are on to color grading.
Home is not where you are from. It is where you belong. Some of us
Can't tell if that rigidiness is...
Home is not where you are from. It is where you belong.
Yeah, I drove it too fast, honestly. All right, let's just watch it.
Home is not where you are from. It is where you belong. Some of us travel the whole world to find it. Others find it in a person. You two have found home in each other. And I believe you two are ready to walk in this new life together.
Zach,
Oops. Must have been playing around with that.
Zach, today marks the beginning of our forever, the day when two families become one, and the day that I become your wife. Becoming your wife means so much to me, more than just the ring on my finger, but being the one that you can share your thoughts with, the one that you know will always love you deeply.
You can hear the breathing I have to
the one that
fix.
you can count on to support your dreams, and the one who will be by your side no matter what. I will never stop choosing you today and every day as my husband, best friend, and partner through this crazy life.
Just letting it catch up for a second.
The fateful journey that brought us to one another was a dream come true, a dream that I didn't even realize I had until we locked eyes over lattes and vasopressors. A quote by Paul Celos states, "So I love you because the entire universe conspired to help me find you." And I think that perfectly explains our story and connection. We met by fate, and I know we were meant for one another. I am infinitely thankful for this worldly
The mic
life
bothers me.
that I get to spend it with you as your wife, your best friend, and the mama to our babies one day. Your hand fits perfectly in mine, and your heart has become a part of mine. I will be behind you for the good moments, and in front of you for the bad moments. You are my solace when the crazy world defeats me, my safety when I feel fearful, my happiness when I triumph, and my comfort when uneasiness overwhelms me.
A few weeks ago, I asked Zach what he loved so much about Siobhan. He said she makes me laugh, and being able to have fun and play around enriches our relationship. I've learned that she means everything to me. She makes me smile, she comforts me, and she even makes Jersey Shore episodes sound not so quite awful to watch.
Dearest Siobhan, I remember the feeling I had when we first met 3 years ago at Panera Bread. We felt the power of this love between us. This is something that has sustained us, healed us, and grown us even deeper, richer, and stronger. It felt like time stood still. In fact, that there was no time. We knew each other and the love between us before we opened our mouths to speak.
I'll let it catch up for a second. Yeah, editing on a solid state drive would have been better.
Since that moment, I've never gotten tired of looking into your brown eyes because the depth and quality I see is priceless, endless, timeless, and deeply inspiring. You are so graceful, joyful, and gorgeous that it ignites my heart and fires up my well-being. I deeply appreciate the blessing of having you in my life and having this golden opportunity to walk beside you hand in hand today and every single day hereafter.
Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful. Love is not arrogant or rude. Love does not insist on its own way. Love does not rejoice in the wrong, but it rejoices in the right. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never ends.
Siobhan came to my room this morning. She gave me a beautiful card, all nice sayings in it. And she gave me this handkerchief. I'm going to just read what's on it. Dad, of all the walks we have taken together, this one
It's good.
this one is by far my favorite.
You know, I'll say the other reason that this other portion of the audio might not make it is because, you know, at some point it's got to go from the father of the groom to the groom, right? So if the father's still talking about how, you know, much they've been through, the bride and the father of the bride, you know, playing the bride and groom clips together, I don't know. There's just something about it that's weird to me, so I probably won't include that audio.
Therefore, with the power vested in me by the Lord Jesus Christ in the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. All the friends and family here today, it is my pleasure to introduce to you for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. Zachary David Peacox.
I'll also say the reason this is up here, I could probably put it below it, but is that I detached the audio so that I can get it a little bit longer. So.
guests of honor, Mr. and Mrs. Zachary Heaton.
I really want to let this catch up because I want to make sure it's syncopated.
Every song has been sung. When the fire's burning low, I still want you to know. And I don't wanna leave your arms tonight. I'm falling, still falling for you.
Yeah, cool.
I just wanna stay by your side. I'm falling, still falling for you.
Slide into this. Okay. You know, if there's another clip of them one-on-one that works better, maybe I'll use it fading away, but I doubt it. I doubt there will be. And you know, we did this whole session by the fire. I didn't use any of it. That's more for photos. I didn't use any of this stuff. Oh well. You know, sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't. This dancing moment thing is kind of cool. But it's just so, you know, magenta and weird colors, not best lighting. It's fine. It's good. All right. So the next video will be on color grading. And man, do I have a really cool tutorial for you on how I color grade my weddings. It's basically 2 parts and then finishing and sharpening, and that's it. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you'll join us in the next video. I don't know if it's going to be the last one, but definitely in the next video. So thanks so much. Bye-bye.